Hello and welcome to Raw Sports Take. Today's December 3rd. I am your host, Miguel Sanchez. First of all, I want to start with apologizing that I haven't recorded any episodes in the last week. I had family. I was really busy with the holidays, as everybody is. And you guys know this is not my number one job. I do not feed my family with this. And if I did, I'd probably be broke right now, living under a bridge. And I'll be a troll. But that's not the case. I do have a job, a full time job, and that's a full job as a paramedic here with San Antonio. So for that reason, you just get busy and you can't do none of the podcasts. But now that the holidays is kind of over, at least for Thanksgiving, we're here. I'm gonna record my first episode. I'm trying a new microphone. It's a new little tiny microphone. It's a little bit more comfortable. It's just a little bit different. I'm also recording on the app, my app here. So if the sound is not that great, I apologize. Again, I am the editor. I am the producer. I do everything here, and it's actually a lot harder than a lot of people think doing this stuff. And it is raw and it is unfiltered, so I don't really edit anything, or actually I don't edit any of these episodes. All the episodes you hear is exactly what's coming out of my mind and exactly what I'm thinking at that moment. I might forget something after I finish recording, and I'm gonna kick myself in the ass and go back and record it. But at the same time, I'm either too lazy or, to be honest with you, it's just hard. So I just decided to leave it the way it is. In today's episode, we're gonna talk about the NFL, what happened this past last weekend, some exciting games, especially when it came to the NFL. We're going NFL games. There's quite a bit, especially with even last night's Monday night game, which was actually a really good game. But first of all, I like to start off, as every single week. I like to start off. I like to start with the San Antonio Spurs, and the Spurs have been doing great lately. I hate that they lost to the Lakers, because the Lakers, I hate the Lakers. I really do. I hate going to San Antonio, watching the San Antonio games here at home, and I seen a bunch of damn Laker fans everywhere. We all know your guys, all Lakers fans are a bunch of bandwagon sons of bitches. They're not true Lakers fans. Either they started liking Kobe because for some odd reason they thought Kobe was the next Michael Jordan, which is also not true. They forgot that Kobe also allegedly, of course, he settled for this, raped that white girl over there in Colorado. But let's forget about that. I mean, nothing says when you're more guilty than raping somebody than when you give a gift to your wife for $4 million ring, kind of thing. So with that, yes, I understand Kobe Bryant died recently, and whatever, but at the same time, does not make him unguilty of all the crap he's done before in the past. I hate that. I really hate that. I go to the Lakers games here in San Antonio, and there's a bunch of Laker fans in there, because you really damn well know that they're a bunch of bandwagons, and especially a bunch of LeBron James fans. That's really pathetic. That really drives me nuts. But hey, I'm a true Spurs fan, true and true. I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to like him no matter what, no matter if they're losing, no matter if they're winning. That's just who I am. And the good news is they are right now 11-9. Yeah, they are 10th right now in the rankings of the standings in the West. But if they were in the East, they'll be number 4 actually, with the same record. It's unfortunate that actually number 5. They'll be one game behind the Knicks. But that's good news. I mean, last year they were 1-13, I believe, in November. This year, or 1-13 at, yeah, I think it was 1-13. They only won one game in November, and this year they already have won already 7 of them. They're 8-4 at home, which is always good to see. 3-5 away. In the last 10 games, I believe they're 7-3, which actually is a really good record compared to other teams. And another team that better than them is the Houston Rockets are 8-2 in that same span. Dallas Mavericks are also 8-2 in that span. And then the only two teams in the West that have a better 10 game streak there, the last 10 games. If you're gonna go and compare them to the East, in the East, the only two teams that, or three teams actually, they're 8-2, or 8-9. One is 9-1 is Orlando Magic, which they've been playing very well without Paulo Banchero. But they're a very young team. They kind of remind me a lot of the, what do you call it, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they're finding their way there in Orlando. The Magic are, and they're really playing very well compared to other teams. Surprising team, of course, is Cleveland Cavaliers. Nobody expected to be the way they were. They were undefeated for a while there. They're 18-3 right now. Everybody expected Boston Celtics being there, which is a good. Is they're there? They're number 2 in the East. And then you have the biggest surprise, a disappointment actually, which is not disappointing to me, is the Philadelphia 76ers, which OMB, which is a crybaby. Uh, always hurt, and you sign another guy that's always hurt, which is Paul George. So it makes them really frustrating. They're 4-14, and I don't see them getting any better. Luckily for them, it's an 82 game uh, regular season, so they might actually put it together. And they play in the East, so they might make it there in the top six, top seven games if they actually get something going, which is pretty sad because if they were in the if they were in the West, they had no chance of making it to the playoffs. That's just that bad of a team. But getting back to San Antonio Spurs, the last games that I watched was the one against Sacramento, which I thought they were going to lose there in the third quarter because they just looked off. The only good player that was playing in that game that looked like it was playing pretty decently was, of course, Wembanyama. And then they just went in a tear there with 3 pointers. I made 50% from the field, and they just destroyed Sacramento there. And again, it shows the progression and it shows that the Spurs are getting better. They just show that it is a better team now than it was before. It shows them that they are actually getting better because last year, if they were down like that, because they were down at one point, they were down by 12 or 17, I believe, in the first half. They wouldn't have been able to come back. They would have just folded it in and lost, and that would have been another loss. And that's why the record was 1-13 last year at one point. But now we're looking at a better team. Is Harrison Barnes has been tremendous. Also, shout out to Chris Paul. Chris Paul is just another coach on the floor there, and is really getting their confidence up. Wembanyama has gotten a lot better now. He is really trying to figure it out that he is that good of a player, and he belongs in the top 10, if not top five players right now in the NBA. He's averaging about over 30 something points a game in the last 7, 8 games. He is shooting quite a bit of 3 pointers. He's shooting about 9 per game, but he is also getting a lot better percentage wise. Last game he was 5 of 9, which is better than 50% from the field. Which I mean, if you're shooting anytime you're shooting 50% anywhere in the field, that's great. But you're shooting it from the freaking 3 point line. That is another level. That is Steph Curry level, which that's all Steph Curry does. Like, let's admit it, Steph Curry doesn't play defense. Steph Curry's it's a decent driver, but he's not a slasher per se. He's a shooter. He shoots, and Wembanyama is getting there to that point. So that is the crazy part about that. That Wembanyama is on that kind of level now lately. Um, so it's good to see that they beat Sacramento. Sacramento's a pretty decent team. Of course, they signed DeRozan, it was nice to see DeRozan play out there and really play his game. So it was good to see that. But other than that, the Spurs are on a streak. Next game that I got is Sunday. They believe they're playing Sacramento in that game. So I'll get to watch Sacramento again, which is kind of weird because I think that's my second or third game that I'll be watching them, which is kind of weird. Um, it'll be the second game in a row that I get to watch because I watched them last game. What was it? No, actually, New Orleans. I got New Orleans. That's what the next. As we're looking at it right now, the next 4 games is going to be Phoenix, which that's tonight. Well, that's going to be a really good game. Spurs win that game, they make it to the in-season tournament, which you know how I feel about that. I think it's stupid and dumb, but I guess something to keep them entertained and something to keep them, I guess, to the game and something to win. I mean, last year you had LeBron James screaming how good he was because he won the in-season tournament, but then he lost in the playoffs. So who cares, right? I don't think in 5 years from now anybody's going to remember that being, oh, you guess what? LeBron James won that championship, the in-season championship, the first one ever. Nobody's going to give two rat tats about that. Same thing with this. Even the Spurs make it to the end season, which is good. I mean, it's good in a sense that it's the closest thing to a playoffs that Wembanyama and the young Spurs are going to feel like. So that'd be a good experience, and hopefully it gives them a taste of what can the playoffs can be, and they can really get in there and really want to get in the playoffs. But they got Phoenix. Hopefully they beat Phoenix tonight, which they beat them last year 3 times. Of the 20 games they won last year, 3 of them were against Phoenix, so that's kind of interesting. So they got Phoenix. They got Chicago after that here at home, and then a home again against Sacramento, and then home against New Orleans, and then they play Atlanta, which Atlanta should be an interesting game for the sense, just in the sense of that Atlanta, we have their pick, and no matter what, it's an unprotected pick. No matter how bad their record Atlanta's is, it belongs to the Spurs next year. So that should be interesting. But the next games are pretty winnable. I mean, Phoenix is winnable. Phoenix is a better team right now with a better record, but I think the Spurs can beat them just for the simple reason they have a very good, a lot of confidence. Chicago's a beatable team. Sacramento, they already beat them twice. New Orleans a very beatable team. Atlanta's a beatable team. Portland's a bad team. My thoughts on the 76ers are a shitty team, so that should be good games. So you could be looking at about one, two, three, four, five, about six out of the next seven games they could win. So if they win the next six out of seven, that should put them at 17-10, which that's a really good record, and they're looking good, and they're going to be in the mix of the playoffs. So that's good to see. Right now, Wembanyama through the regular season, he has 24 points per game. Chris Paul's averaging 8 assists, which is incredible for his age, 39. And Harrison Barnes is the one that leads all field goal percentages at 51%. So, and they play defense. That's the crazy thing about, and that's what gives me a lot of confidence about them making to the playoffs. Like I said at the beginning of the season, I think they finish their ceiling is about the fourth or fifth seed, and their floor is a playing game. So they finish in the 10th seed. So that's the range that I see them getting to. I'm hoping they get to the fourth or fifth seed. It'll be great to see Wembanyama in the playoffs. It'll be great to see San Antonio back into the mix of that. It's good for the city. It's good economically. It's good. It's good karma just period here in San Antonio. Even if you're not a San Antonio Spurs fan, it's still good to just have the city's name and nationwide and really have them going. And those are my thoughts on the Spurs lately. Jimmy Johansson will be coming back. I think that he comes back tonight. We'll see how he looks because of all the players that the Spurs play, he's probably the worst as far as spreading the floor. He's a better defender than he is an offensive player. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if the defense gets better and the offense gets worse, or they find some kind of balance in there and they find a way to work him in. Um, but those are my thoughts on that. Now we're going to talk NFL. So we're going to go with the NFL, and we're going to go with the games that were crazy. These games. I mean, we're talking some crazy games. I know some people are going to get mad, and some of the stuff that I'm going to say next, like one of the biggest one, Pittsburgh. I still think they're not for real. I don't think they're real. I don't think Russell Wilson's real. Look, one of the stats that blew my mind earlier today was I was looking and listening to an earlier podcast was that Russell Wilson it is the worst quarterback making plays happen. In other words, when he gets out of the pocket and scrambles, he is the worst quarterback when it comes to that. He's worse than Will Levis, who you know how I feel about Will Levis, the Tennessee quarterback. He is terrible. But he is the worst quarterback when it comes to that. And he and that was his game. That's who he was when he was in Seattle, and all of a sudden in Pittsburgh they think that he all of a sudden found it, which I don't think he's found it. When you look at that team, damn, Dak Prescott right now on one leg could probably put up 30 something points against the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, Cincinnati Bengals defense is probably the worst defense of all time. I feel bad for Joe Burrow. Does Joe Burrow have to put on a mustache and play safety and tackle somebody? Maybe so, because the poor kid is throwing for almost 500 yards, threw a shitload of touchdowns, and at the end of the day, it didn't do shit. At the end of the day, they still lost. It was just terrible to watch. As far for him, because I feel bad for him because the kid's lost already how many games? Over 30 points. I think he's lost four out of five the last this whole season. And then when you're watching him, it's fun to watch him. I mean, if you're just a pure football guy that just like watching football, you love the way he throws the ball. You love the way he zips it in there. He hits the receivers right in the hands. He hits them in stride. He hits those freaking little windows where if he throws it a little bit to the left too much or a little bit to the right, that shit's getting intercepted or that's not getting a completion. But he is just on another level of just quarterbacking. If you're going to watch him as far as pure quarterback, like pure quarterback play, if you're going to pick a quarterback, you're just going to watch quarterback play. You definitely have to pick him as number one. I will pick him as number one over Patrick Mahomes. Let's be real. Patrick Mahomes is not playing to any kind of level that he has set before any standard. He's playing subpar as far as that. What's saving him is all that defense and that. And to be honest, now that we get on the subject of Patrick Mahomes, I I don't know if the Chiefs are just that bad. As far as like barely winning games, like I don't know what kind of deal with the devil they made or deal with freaking Taylor Swift. I don't know what the hell is going on there. It's just weird the way they win games. So it leaves you wanting more. And it leads me to believe that the Chiefs, I said it before, they're just sandbagging it. Like they are just straight up sandbagging it, which is kind of scary to think about if they're really sandbagging it. Like they're really like just don't give a fuck about the regular season and just going with emotions and they find a way to win the game. Like let's like today, maybe we'll lose by a field goal. We'll see what happens. And then all of a sudden the freaking Las Vegas Raiders that fumble. They snap the ball early and it's a fumble and the Chiefs get the ball back and they win the game. That is just mind-boggling how they're winning this game. I don't know. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is the devil. I don't know. You tell me. Have you ever seen the devil and Patrick Mahomes in the same room? I don't think so. The guy might be the devil for all I know, because the way they're winning games is just it's just extraordinary. It's just I'd never seen it before. I never seen a team that it just wins games by the most dumbest shit I ever seen. A block field goal, a fumble, interception, tippy toe, out of bounds on that 2 point play by the Ravens. I mean, I can go on and on. Not call pass interference that should not have been called on the Cincinnati Bengals. Uh, it's just one of those. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is the devil. You tell me. Like I said. But move on from that, from the Patrick Mahomes the devil thing. Other than that, defense played great again. Held the Raiders to 17 points. Anytime you hold a team under 20 points, you have a chance of winning the game. So that's what we learned from the game. Besides the craziness of the Raiders, the other game that was played Thursday. Okay, we're gonna talk Thanksgiving games. Quick hits on Thanksgiving. It looks like Miami Dolphins going back to what they were, and that is they suck when it comes to cold weather. I believe the record, what is it? Tua has never won a game under 40 degrees, which is I haven't done the research on it, but it'll be an interesting stat to find out that he won a game when it was 41 degrees. But since it's 40 degrees and below, he doesn't win. And he doesn't win again. It was just one of those crazy games where the Dolphins looked like the Dolphins for 3, 4 weeks ago. They just looked bad, and Green Bay actually looked like they wanted to win the game and play well, and they played decent, and they were able to put up points. They put up 30, and they beat the Dolphins pretty handily. So that was not a surprise to me. It was really not a surprise. Um, the one that was a surprise and a shocker to me definitely on that Thursday night Thanksgiving game was definitely Detroit Chicago game. That game was mind boggling. It blew my mind because I worked Thanksgiving at work and I was watching it and I got to watch the last game and I went to take a piss because I thought they were going to call a timeout and it come back and he's throwing the ball at the end and then and then the game's over. And I'm talking about um, Caleb Williams. We threw the ball there at the end and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, did they not have timeouts? And I saw they had a timeout. And a lot of people want to blame Caleb Williams. Well, he has some to blame because he's the quarterback. But you got to remember, he's a rookie and he was trying to do, I mean, he's trying to do what he's trying to do. He's trying to win the game. But the blame has to be on the coach. The coach cannot, and I'm glad he got fired. Well, he should have gotten fired last year. Had no business coaching Caleb Williams and being the coach this year. I said it before. He had no business being the coach there. And I'm glad he got fired because he just looked completely lost. No other head coach, I think, I want to say 31 out of 32 teams head coaches would have seen the same thing and would have called a timeout. Like, there's no way none of them don't call a timeout when that's happening. There was like 30 seconds left. I get it. When there's 30 seconds left, you kind of don't want to call the timeout because you want to save it. But then when it's 20 seconds and then it's going down to 15 seconds, like, you got to call a timeout. You got to do something. You just can't freaking let your quarterback there throw it at the end that it wasn't even close to the end zone and pretty much a Hail Mary, which it wasn't necessary because you could have kicked a field goal from there. I get it. The field goal got blocked in the like a few weeks back or last week. I can't remember exactly what the Bears, but I was stuck working with my partner at work, and I told him, he goes, "You think the Bears have a chance of winning this game?" Driving out, like, I don't know how, but the Bears are gonna find a way to fuck it up in a weird freaking way, and they did. My prediction was that they were one of the receivers going to catch it and run it in for the touchdown, but as he's running in for the touchdown, he fumbles it and it goes out of bounds at the end of the end zone, and they get a touchback. That was my prediction of the weirdness, but this was even more weird. I don't get what the hell the coach was looking at. I guess he forgot he got a brain fart. He was thinking about eating freaking turkey that day. I have no idea. Matt Eberflus, I'm glad he got fired. He's a dumbass. He should never get a job as a head coaching job ever again. Just plain and simple. The other Thursday game, Thanksgiving game, was Cowboys versus Giants. That's probably one of the few games the Cowboys were favored to win. Defense looked good. I mean, Obershawn deliver. Overshawn looked like he was the best defensive player on the Cowboys, and especially on that where he gets blocked originally at the line by the running back, but he still gets out of it, hits the ball, tips the ball up in the air to himself, catches and runs it for a touchdown. That was incredible to watch. Michael Parsons played very well, 1.5 sacks, had 4 QB hits, 6 pressures, so he's looking good. Um, and the Giants just look terrible. They just look like a team that can't wait for the season to be over. Could now they can go into the season and start all overs and start looking at quarterbacks. And it was good to see Rico Dow finally get a 100-yard rushing game for the Cowboys, a running back there. And Brandon Cooks look good coming back. And don't let these Cowboy fans, for the love of God, don't let the Cowboys fool you. Even if they beat the Bengals and they beat the Panthers and they somehow, some way, become 7-7. Do not let them fool you. They are not back. They are a bad team. They're a bad team for a reason. And I get it. Yes, go ahead. Boo me for saying that, Cowboys fans. I'm a Cowboys fan, but at the same time, I know what's real. Do not let the Cowboys pull you in on that crap. Let it just let's just wait for the off season and hopefully things get better. Those were the Thursday night games. Those were the games. They're really good, actually. Every single one except for maybe the Cowboys game. But oh well, for sure the Dolphins game in Packers was a bad game. But the first two were pretty decent to watch. So it was a pretty good Thanksgiving, as far as for me. Well, besides being at work, it was a good Thanksgiving. It's good to hear people. And I hope you had a good Thanksgiving with your family. Hope you hug them. Hope you kiss them. And I hope there was no drama at the tables. As you know, there's always drama at Thanksgiving. People are always talking crap, and it's just one of those things. The other games, then we have Sunday night, Sunday games. There's nothing really to except for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati game. I pretty much talked what I wanted to talk about. I don't think they're real. I don't think the Steelers are real. I know they're leading the NFC North. The NFC North stuff to win. I just still don't believe in them. Plain and simple. Uh, one of the other games there was kind of interesting. Uh, Probably Seattle Seahawks versus the New York Jets, just because I hate Aaron Rodgers, and I had a good laugh because Aaron Rodgers sucks. Let's be real. Aaron Rodgers has not been good in 4 freaking years. The last time he won a playoff game was 4 years ago. The last time he had a 300 yard game passing was about 3 years ago now. Like he looks terrible. Maybe Zach Wilson was not. Maybe Zach Wilson was a better quarterback. I mean, the record's pretty terrible. You done everything you wanted to do as far as Jets. I mean, you went all in with Aaron Rodgers, got him his players, got him his offensive line, got him his wide receivers, and still you suck. I mean, what at what point did you just? At what point Aaron Rodgers going to fake an injury so that way he could save face and be? And then of course he's gonna fake an injury, and then of course he's gonna say something like, "Oh well, you know what? I've been playing injured my the whole time. This whole time I've been playing injured, and that's why I suck." Come on, man. Let's don't say that. Don't say that. Please don't say that. And I know you are. I know you are because Aaron Rodgers is a narcissist idiot that thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and he's not washed up. But let's be real, he's been washed for 4 years. Congratulations to the Packers for letting go of this idiot. And that's how we go. That's how we gone. So that was a fun game to watch. As far as that, glad Seattle won. Uh, the other games, there's no memorable really games other than that. The other one that was pretty laughable because I have a buddy at work because he's a big Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and I was gonna laugh in his face if the Panthers were gonna pull the win against him. But I am glad that Bryce Young is playing better. I am really happy for him. He's looking a lot better lately. So, hey, maybe he could be comeback player of the year. Can you be a comeback player of the year after you lost your starting job and then you came back and you're playing better? I think so. Um, One of the other games that I was enjoy watching was Philadelphia to Baltimore was actually the premier game to watch as far as two playoff teams. Some people might even say a Super Bowl preview, which I doubt it because the Ravens, like I said before, Dak Prescott is Lamar Jackson is Dak Prescott. To Lamar Jackson proves to me that he can win in the playoffs. He's a mediocre quarterback, and he's mediocre when it comes to playoffs. He's actually good in the regular season, but when you need him the most in the playoffs, he chokes. So, so he does that. I don't think he makes it in the play. I don't think he makes it to the Super Bowl. Plain and simple. I don't think it's a Super Bowl preview. Philadelphia is just playing on another level right now. Saquon Barkley, or Saquon these nuts, as I like to say, uh, is playing on another level. He is just incredible. But to me, the most valuable player on that team is not really Saquon Barkley. It's actually AJ Brown. Every single time AJ Brown, they need a big play. They need a first down. It's 3rd and 12. It's 3rd and 5. Then they need him. They throw the AJ Brown. AJ Brown is just a big running back playing a receiver. That's really what it is when he catches the ball. They play 9 games so far with him this whole season, and they're 9-0 when he plays. He is the real MVP on that team. It's not as much as I like Saquon Barkley, and as much as Saquon Barkley probably is going to win, get to 2,000 yards for the season. I just think that you can plug almost any decent running back on that team, and they're going to rush for over 1,200 yards. You could put anybody, well, maybe not anybody, but you could put the Cowboys starting running back, Rico Dow, who nobody's heard of unless you're a Cowboys fan, and he rushes for 1,200 yards. That's how good that offensive line is. That's how good they are with A.J. Brown. When A.J. Brown's out, something happens to that team, and they just kind of almost shit the bed. Like the offense just doesn't look good. Talking about not looking good, Justin Tucker, what happened to him? He went for the most reliable kicker of all time to all of a sudden he's missing gimmies. Like I believe he's, what is it, 5 for 9 on 50 yards or more. He missed an extra point wide left. Uh, and then he missed another one. He missed 2 extra points and 2 field goals in this game. Like, well, actually, 1 extra point. Sorry, 1 extra point and 2 field goals. That's 7 points right there. And you lost 24-19, 7 points. I mean, you do the math, they win 26-24. I don't know what's going on there. I have no idea if I'm watching something like when you watch great players, all of a sudden they go from playing great to just playing garbage. Like it's always extraordinary to me because there's no in the middle with those players. Like you'll watch them play great, and all of a sudden they just suck. Aaron Rodgers is a good example. I mean, we're talking about what 5 years ago he was the MVP of the NFL, and all of a sudden he's just garbage. Like he's not even average, not even average playing. He's just playing really really bad. Um, and that's what happened to Justin Tucker. I mean, I'm sorry, but it might be time to cut him. It might be time to cut him and let him go him and find another kicker because he is costing them games right now. The other game that I enjoy, it not as far as it was a good game, it just because it was fun to watch. The snow game. I love snow games. I love games when there's rain, there's snow, where the environment affects the game. And that was the Buffalo Bills versus the 49ers. That was a hell of a game to watch. If you enjoy watching football, I mean, I wouldn't want to be at the game because it's cold as shit and it's a Buffalo. And No offense, Buffalo, but I don't think there's nothing there for you to do in the winter because it sucks. The weather looks like it sucks really bad. And it was snowing and it was pouring, but it was fun to watch. Like it is just looks fun to watch. It's fun to watch, fun to play probably, unless you're the 49ers. But they got their ass creamed there, 35-10. That was a hell of a game for the Bills. Bills are looking good. Right now, you got four contenders for the Super Bowl, and that's going to be number one right now, in my opinion, is going to be the Lions. Even though the Lions almost lost against the Bears, it's going to be Lions, Chiefs, uh, Eagles, and then the Buffalo Bills. And you can switch them up however you want to switch them in different order. That's my order, but if you want to put a different order, I'm cool with that order. But it's still those are your four Super Bowl contenders right there. If you're going to do tiers, like tier one is your Super Bowl, tier two is your wannabe Super Bowl contenders, which that's probably the Steelers. As far as that, the Steelers, the Ravens, um, maybe even you throw in the Seattle Seahawks in that tier. Green Bay Packers, I will put in that tier. But Green Bay Packers are almost there. I want to say they're almost in Super Bowl contention with the other four teams, but they're just not quite there. In my opinion, just of the games they have played lately, and they have not looked good. And they look good against bad teams, but against good teams, they tend to fold up a little bit. Um, but those will be my four tiers. I think Josh Allen deserves the MVP. He's played very well, even in the snow. He had a hell of a game. He had a lateral in there. He ran it for a touchdown. He just had a really good game, even in the snow. He knows how to play, and hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully that injury to the left arm there is not serious, and he goes on to win the MVP. But that's pretty much my wrap up about the NFL season. I didn't make any picks this week. Like I said, I was busy with Thanksgiving, but we'll see what happens. Uh, I'll try to get back to you guys on Friday, do my episode. We'll do the picks. We'll talk a little bit about Spurs. Maybe the Spurs are in the Emirates Cup or whatever the fudge they want to call it next year. Next year is going to be something stupid like the AT&T in season cup. They're always going to change the name of it, I figure. But that's about it. This is I enjoy here. If you guys notice, I found sound effects, so I've got some sound effects there. Hopefully, you guys like that. Other than that, have a great week. Talk to you guys later. Okay, have a good one.